What is going on, y'all? Sorry for the somewhat delayed start today. Ran into a few technical issues, but hopefully got those sorted out and we are ready to rock. But I want to thank you all for joining us here on the Mission Ready Men podcast on the SHR Media Network. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, and LA is still burning. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Trump's sentencing, the Jack Smith report, and the confirmation hearings that are kicking off. And we'll get into some Second Amendment stuff if we have some time. I really want to get to that. It is going to be a packed show, a lot to get to. But before we dive in, do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe, share the videos, leave a comment. If I say something you agree with, let me know. If I say something you disagree with, please comment and let me know. I'd love to talk about it. Apparently, the comments, the engagement, play a pretty big part in the algorithm that the tech tyrants are using to throttle our content. I know that they said that, or Facebook at least, that they were going to be going to more of a free speech model and community notes instead of fact checkers. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, just do all the things, like, comment, share, and let us know what you think. And also pray for us, because we need your prayers, and prayer changes things. Pray that we all here at the SHR Media Network have a breakthrough this year and reach as many of the masses as we possibly can. Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty, Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense, and BZ and the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Pray that we all have a breakthrough in 2025. But thank you for joining us here on the SHR Media Network. You can follow this show on all the socials at Mission Ready Men, on Facebook, Instagram, or X if you prefer. I don't. TikTok and Truth Social. And if you like the shirt I'm wearing, it's one of our basic designs. Head over to missionreadymen.com and hit shop 7 Armors and check out this design and all the other great designs that we have. All right. I'm behind, probably going to run over since I started late, but let's get after it. All right, so LA is still burning. There are 3 active fires right now. One of them is only like 11% contained or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the percentages are, but they're still raging. And it's Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, but more so Newsom. He's been more out in the forefront, I think, because everybody knows that Karen Bass is a huge liability right now, and she is largely to blame for a lot of this. So is Newsom, and we're going to get into that. Newsom is complaining that everything that's been going around about the reservoirs being drained, about them being more concerned with this bait fish, the Delta smelt, the fire hydrants being stolen and empty. He's saying that all of that is misinformation and disinformation. And he was in a Zoom meeting with the president and some other people, where he said that they needed to do something about the misinformation and disinformation. And he is one of the biggest purveyors of said misinformation and disinformation. This moron There's so much material with him, but he actually, with his slick back hairdo, uh, he is a slick politician. Make no mistake about it. But the mask is the mask has already slipped for people who have been paying attention. We've known about this guy for a long time, but for the people who have been voting for him and who are hardcore Democrats, even for them, the mask is starting to slip. And I want to take a look at this one clip. He was on Meet the Press the other day, and he actually had the nerve. Not even actually had the nerve. I mean, he does this all the time. But listen to this flat out lie.
I called for him to come out, take a look for himself. We want to do it in the spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist. He's the president-elect. I respect the office. We have a president of the United States that within 36 hours provided a major disaster declaration over a text. We had support from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, with 100% reimbursement, all the resources you could hope for or imagine, constant communication. I'd like to extend that to the president-elect. I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt in reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full.
He just said the reservoirs are completely full. Okay, let's keep going.
State reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to.
He didn't deny it. He didn't deny it. The reservoir was not full, even though he just said 30 seconds prior that the reservoirs were full and he didn't know what Trump was talking about.
To get the investigation to understand what was happening with that local reservoir that was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
I mean, this guy lies like he's breathing, like it's oxygen to him. It's really, it's astonishing, really. And there's actually something else I wanted to we'll see if I can locate it. But there's another video of him. By the way, did that video look like they were in front of a green screen? That was one of the first, aside from his lying, that was one of the first things that stuck out to me, was that it looked like they're in a studio on a green screen. I could be wrong. I mean, who knows? But that's just what it looked like. And maybe it's just because he's a lizard person and he always looks like that. Who knows? I don't know. But so much has gone wrong with these wildfires. So much destruction has taken place. So much devastation. So many lives lost. Is this incompetence or is this on purpose? And I said about the Biden administration, and I've said about leftists, whenever something like this happens, you can't screw up this much by accident. You just can't. The devastation that the Biden administration has wreaked on this country, that was on purpose, because you can't screw up that much by accident. And reservoirs empty, you can't have fire hydrants stolen, you can't have budgets cut, you can't have any of this stuff all happen at once and it not be on purpose. There's no way this is an accident. No way. And for those people who think that, well, it's just a confluence of circumstances that just happen to all coincide at the same time. Nonsense. Nonsense. These people were ill prepared. And failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And you can't fail this bad by accident. And in case you think I'm exaggerating, I don't know if you noticed this. I'm sure you have at this point, but all of the women in charge of the LAFD, the training coordinator, the chief, the assistant chief in charge of DEI, all three of those women, they're all lesbians, and they're all named Kristen or some variation thereof. I know that their names are neither here nor there, but I think it is interesting. But one of them, and this goes to the DEI aspect of it, one of them actually did a video, and it's not like it was a spontaneous thing. It's not like it was like an interview, like just a in the heat of the moment conversation. This was actually a scripted bit where she was extolling the virtues of DEI. And this is what this assistant, and her first name's Kristen, Christine Larson. And this one, just when I first heard what she had to say on this subject, my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe she actually said this. And you may have heard it at this point. But just here you go.
House, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease.
Nobody thinks that way. Nobody in their right mind thinks that way. Nobody in their right mind is going through an emergency and hoping that the person who responds is Black if they're Black, or Hispanic or if they're Hispanic, or whatever the case may be. Nobody is thinking that way. They're thinking, please help me. They couldn't care less what you look like as long as you can help them.
Knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
What? I'm with you. That's your only job. And you're going to sit here and tell them that they're stupid because they got themselves into a situation. It is truly mystifying. And what really pisses me off about it is there was a former child actor, Corey, and I can't remember his last name. And in fact, that might not even be his name. I'm not sure. But there was a former child actor with cerebral palsy who was blind, living with his mother. Their house was being engulfed in flames. She had to leave him and go get help. He told her to go. She couldn't carry him. She had a broken arm. And when she was finally able to get help, the house was ashes. Wow. And according to Christine Larson, he got himself in a bad situation. Too bad. How else are you to interpret that? This person died because of their incompetence. Between the lack of water, the lack of fire hydrants, the lack of preparation, the lack of forest management, all of that contributed to that young man's death and the other 24 or 5 other people who have perished in these fires. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I haven't even, as much as this is circulating, I haven't even heard of her trying to walk this back. I haven't heard of her trying to say, I misspoke. Nothing. They're just letting this stand. What? Nobody has come out and publicly rebuked her for this. She has not apologized. And just, wow. Unbelievable. Now, the other lie that they're trying to circulate around this is that is a result of climate change. Yeah, climate change. Somebody started a fire, whether accidentally or not. There are reports that it was started by fireworks that happened on the 1st, and then it smoldered and stuff like that. That may be true. But that's not climate change. That's the fact that the underbrush and the forest management was so poorly done that there was enough kindling, enough fuel for this fire to start. And once it started, without water, there's no stopping it. But on the All In podcast, and this is kind of a long clip. I may not play the whole thing, and I'm going to stop it and make some comments here and there. But this is one of the participants in the All In podcast, basically debunking everything, debunking all of the climate change nonsense around this fire.
Of which has been the Palisades fire, and which has stretched into Malibu, obviously. And 15,000 acres or so have been really strongly and by over again in this specific feet. And so you'd say, got caught off by 100-mile-an-hour winds, to me is completely not an acceptable answer. We knew in 2018 that these things could happen. We knew across the rest of the United States that these outlier weather events were happening in greater and greater frequency. If you weren't sure, you saw most of the insurance companies try to dump Southern California homes' fire coverage 3 months before this event happened. So all this data was in the realm of the knowable. And then when you double click and you get into a little bit more of the details, there's a level of incompetence bordering on criminal negligence here that we need to get to the bottom of. So I'll just give you a couple of facts. In the 1950s, the average amount of timber, so wood that was harvested in California, was around 6 billion board feet per year. In the intervening 70 years, that shrank to about 1.5 billion board feet. And so you'd say, okay, well, that's a 75% reduction. We must be making a very explicit stance on conservation. It turns out that that's not entirely true, because what it left behind was nearly 163 million dead trees. Dead, like gone. And so you would say, well, those things should have been removed. And the problem is that then there's this California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, and a whole bunch of these other regulatory policies that limited the ability of local governments and fire management to clear these dead trees and vegetation. And I think that that's a really big deal. And when you double click on that, here's where you find the real head scratcher. Okay? Multiple bills, AB 2330, AB 1951, AB 2639, all rejected by the Democrat-controlled legislature, or worse, vetoed by Governor Newsom, that would have exempted these wildfire prevention projects from CEQA and other permitting issues.
On purpose. Like I said, what else is there? What else could it possibly be? And now you have the evidence that there were proposals to help mitigate all of this, and it was either rejected by the legislature or vetoed by Newsom. So when you have that level of incompetence and that level of malfeasance, it's purposeful. It's purposeful. All right, I spent enough time on that. I really didn't want to spend that much time on it, but it's such a gross topic. And when you dig into it, there's just so much there. I mean, we could spend the entire hour on this, but I'm not going to do that to you. I did want to move on to Trump's sentencing, because Trump's sentence was allowed to go forward. The Supreme Court allowed it. They shouldn't have, and we could get into the disappointment of Amy Coney Barrett and the other Trump appointees. Kavanaugh actually voted with Alito and Thomas and Gorsuch, but Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts, they sided with the leftists on the court and allowed this humiliation ritual to go forward. And that's all it is. They wanted Trump to have the label of convicted felon. They've been saying it all along, even though it wasn't entirely true because of the way the laws are in the state of New York. But now he's been sentenced. He is technically a convicted felon. And in case you think that's not what they were really after, they admitted as much. The prosecutor actually admitted as much on during the closing statements of the sentencing hearing. And it was another mask off moment for these people. And at this point, I don't even think they bother putting a mask on. But here is the audio of
be served by imposing any condition upon the defendant's release. Because these crimes are felonies, the court must set forth in the record the reasons for its action. The American public has the right to a presidency unencumbered by pending court proceedings or ongoing sentence-related obligations. But imposing this sentence ensures that finality. Sentencing the defendant permits this court to enter judgment, to cement the defendant's status as a convicted felon while he pursues whatever appeals he intends to pursue.
It is. They to be able to legally call him a convicted felon. Like I said, it's a humiliation ritual. But I think they're about to find out. And it's going to get overturned on appeal. There was so much, and we could spend a whole hour relitigating that whole thing, but there was so much wrong with that, with the way that trial went down from the beginning, that I'm really actually surprised it went this far. But because of the egregious nature of the violations there, it's going to get turned over on appeal. But in light of that, Jack Smith and the DOJ, well, Jack Smith resigned. Merrick Garland this morning around 1 a.m. released Jack Smith's report. And I haven't read it. I've read bits and pieces, read a couple of summaries. And there really, from what I've read so far, there really isn't anything that we didn't already know. It's just compiled into one report, and a lot of Jack Smith's interpretation and opinion goes in here, and it's really just more evidence that all they wanted was to stop him from becoming president. And if he did win, which he obviously did, then they want to make sure that his tenure, his next 4 years, are as problematic as possible with all these legal maneuverings that they're doing. They've since found out that that's not really going to work, but here we are. And so this report really doesn't mean anything at this point. He is the president. He is going to get sworn in less than a week now, and there isn't anything they can do about it. Well, there are some things, but let's pray that they don't try those again, if you know what I'm saying. So in that light, let's talk about the confirmation hearings for his cabinet picks. There are 13 cabinet nominees that are going to have hearings this week. Pegseth is in his hearing right now, and we'll have clips of. I do have one clip I want to play that happened right at the beginning, the opening remarks of the ranking member. But Pete Hegseth is in his. Doug Collins and Doug Burgum are also going to be have their hearing start today. Tomorrow, Kristi Noem, or on Wednesday, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Sean Duffy, John Ratcliffe, and on Thursday, Scott Turner, Lee Zeldin, Pam Bondi, again, day 2. I don't see Tulsi Gabbard on this list, which is, she was supposed to be, hers was supposed to be the same day as Hegseth at one point, but that's since changed. I read that it was rescheduled, but I don't see it on the list for this week, which is, again, strange. And she reversed her stance on the FISA court, warrantless searches. So I'm wondering what could be going on there, but we'll see. And with regard to that, as I've said before, it's hard to trust these people who make this switch. She's come a long way, but when you make such, I mean, because her stance on the Patriot Act and the warrantless searches and the FISA court and all that, that was one of the things that most attracted her to conservatives. We wanted to get rid of that, and now she's reversed her stance on that. So that's interesting. So we'll see. And maybe she's just placating the leftists to get into office. I hope that's not the case either. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Pete Hegseth, from what I understand, I didn't get a chance to actually hear his remarks, but from what I understand, he did a great job. But I did want to talk about the ranking member and his opening remarks, because he said something that I really don't understand. And this guy, Jack Reed, he is a Army Ranger, a former Army Ranger. He served in the military. Well, obviously. There are really kind of puzzling. He's talking in his remarks, he sounds like somebody who never served in the military. He sounds like your typical leftist anti-military shill, and I really am kind of surprised at that. But let's take a look at it.
Joined the Army as a young officer in the 1970s, the U.S. military was rife with racial tension. Women were prohibited from serving in most roles. Gay service members were banned, and we relied on a national draft to fill our ranks. The soldiers I served with were proud to do so, but it was certainly not the nation's most capable military by any standard. We have made great progress since then. Today, the Department of Defense is fully integrated. Every race and religion is accepted. Women serve in all combat roles and leadership positions. Sexual orientation is irrelevant to service, and the all-volunteer force visibly reflects the nation it protects. Our military is more diverse than it has ever been, but more importantly, it is more lethal than it has ever been.
How can he possibly think that's true? How can he possibly think that's true? Pete Hegseth, one of the biggest things that people are upset with him about, aside from his infidelity to his wife, is that he does not believe that women should be serving in combat. And he is 100% correct. 100% correct. Just like the fire chief who talked about being able to carry a man out of a fire. On average, and I'm not saying that it can never happen, but on average, obviously, because men and women are different, a woman serving in combat cannot carry a man out of a war zone, out of a situation where he's injured and she's going to have to. It's not possible. And again, there are some women who probably could do it, who definitely could do it if the situation called for it, but that's rare. That's rare. And the other side of that is when you have a woman's in combat, the males in her unit are going to have their attention split between engaging the enemy and protecting the female soldier, because that's what men do. They protect women. And for him to say, especially being an Army Ranger, which really, like I said, that really surprises me that he has this position. For him to say that is just mind-boggling. And speaking of the Rangers, what a lot of these leftists will say is that, well, there have been women who completed Ranger school and earned their Ranger tab. Yes, but they didn't complete it at the same standards that their male counterparts did. They had the standards lowered, and then lowered again, if I'm not mistaken. And not only did they have the standards lowered, but there was I don't have the article in front of me, but as I was going through this, there is a woman who passed Ranger school, who graduated Ranger school, and she lost one of the members of her platoon. And part of their training, as she was being evaluated as the platoon sergeant, and part of that training is keeping track of all of your soldiers. And she lost one. She lost a soldier, and they had to suspend the training in order to go look for him. And because it took so long, they never completed the mission. And what usually happens in that situation is the soldier who got lost and the platoon sergeant get kicked out. But she passed. She got what they call a major minus, and the soldier who got lost got kicked out. But then right at the end of the training, she got a major plus to offset that major minus, and she was able to graduate. Pete Hegseth is 100% right, and he needs to be confirmed. All of Trump's nominees need to be confirmed so that they can get work. Nominees only need a simple majority of senators to get confirmed. 53 Republicans. If any of those 53 vote against, they need to be primaried. They need to be primaried because regardless of what the left says, Trump has a mandate, and instrumental in getting his mandate accomplished is his cabinet picks. All of his nominees must, barring some bombshell revelations that completely disqualifies them, all of his nominees must be confirmed. All right. I want to talk about something. I mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I never really got back around to it. And I want to spend a little bit more time on it. But before we do, I want to get a word from our sponsor today, and that is Patriot Mobile. Because now more than ever, we need to support companies that share our values. And voting, despite the fact that we won this time around, is just not enough. Patriot is one of the few companies that not only shares our beliefs and our values, but they actually put their money where their mouth is. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier, and they donate a portion of every dollar that they take in to organizations that fight for causes that you and I care about. They've been tremendous help. They've been a tremendous help on the border, helping locate and track down these missing children. They've been tremendous on the abortion issue. They are just this company is just fantastic. We made the switch, and we could not be happier. So switch to Patriot Mobile now and get a free month of service with the offer code Jackson. Go to patriotmobile.com and use promo code Jackson and get a free month service. So go to patriotmobile.com/Jackson and put your money where your mouth is. If the causes that we believe in mean as much to you as they do to me, put your money where your mouth is and switch to patriotmobile.com today. Okay. A few weeks ago, I talked about the Pakistani rape gangs that are, the scandal has blown up in the UK. And it's really, when you do a deep dive into everything that's happened, and I haven't even gone that deep because this has been going on for a long time, and there are extensive articles and commentators who have been on this from the beginning. And it goes back into the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And it has been completely covered up by the authorities in the UK. They will tell you thing, and that they've been doing everything possible to wreck the situation, but that is just not the case. And there's a great article on Substack by a man by the name of Keith Woods, and for some reason it's not coming up, which is annoying. Like I said, we've been having some technical issues, but it has been a long time, and it's been such an egregious. In fact, you know what? Let me, since I can't bring that up, let me bring this up, because this should give you an idea. Okay, now I'm really having some technical issues. This is not how I wanted this day to go, but we're gonna get through it. So this is a tweet from one of the survivors of these gangs, these Pakistan rape gangs, and one of the survivors reported on X, and I'm just gonna read it to you. I received a phone call from South Yorkshire Police tonight about my reporting on X. They've elite posts and not to report on the raw professionals moving forward, even though there are no reporting restrictions on the case. I'd like to add the information I reported came directly from South Yorkshire Police over 6 months ago. It's also been in the public domain for over 6 months. I'd also like to add that the police officer didn't really have a clue as to what was going on. Why would, and this, this meme is pretty funny. Whenever I see British citizens making fun of Americans, I remember how they gave up their guns only to be put in jail for offensive Facebook and Twitter posts. A little levity for this heavy topic that we're dealing with right now, but they have been systematically humiliating and covering up this atrocity that these Pakistani gangs are committing against young British women. And we could get into a whole host of things with regard to British politics and things like that. But one of the things that really stands out to me is the fact that, well, it brings up a question for me. Where are these girls' fathers? Now, I understand that you can't be there, you can't protect them 24/7. And we live in such a fallen world, bad things happen. And I understand that. I understand that completely. But I haven't, as much as I've looked into this, I haven't seen or heard about any of these girls' fathers getting up in arms, doing anything really to fight for justice for their daughters. And I'm really blown away that there are no stories like that. Like we had the issue in Virginia a few years ago where some gender confused kid raped a young woman in a bathroom, and the girl's father let his presence be known. And he got arrested. He shouldn't have been. But I haven't seen any stories like that surrounding this in the UK. Now, maybe they're out there and the British press is covering it up. That's a possibility. But you would think something would have leaked out in all this time, but nothing. Nothing. And that's really sad. And we're gonna get to some other negligent further stories coming up. But before we get to that, hopefully we'll have some time. But I wanted to get into this because this is one of the many reasons why we need to stand up for the right to keep and bear arms. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The cops in Kentucky, I can't remember, Laurel County, the cops in Laurel County, they shot and killed a man in a midnight raid. Actually, I think it was 11 o'clock at night, over a stolen weed eater. Yeah, you heard me right. A stolen weed eater. And the story is that a judge had a weed eater stolen from their property, and a man lost his life over a weed eater. That just really blows my mind. But it wasn't even the judge's weed eater. It was stored there, stolen. Who stole it? Said that he stored it at an address. Well, you know what? Let's take a look at this, because this is just it's really just insane. This is from the Atlanta Black Star. Kentucky dispatchers told police that, well, the cops raided the wrong house. The cops raided the wrong house. The man who police say admitted to stealing a weed eater said he stored it at 489 Van Zant Road, which is in a rural area. And I don't have the pictures here, but in the picture, the houses are right next to each other. And the cops raided the wrong house. They raided 511 Van Zant Road, where they banged on the door at 11 o'clock at night. And Doug Tarlis, who was 63 years old, was probably asleep or close to it. And he hears people banging on his door, and he retrieves a firearm, allegedly. We'll get to that in a second. And confronts the officers and is shot 5 times. Now, the problem, aside from the fact that a man is dead over a weed eater, the other problem is that in the initial reporting, they never mentioned that Douglas Harless had a gun. There's never any mention of that until the story gets out. And this wasn't the ATF, this was local law enforcement. But this happened near the area of where Breonna Taylor was shot and killed. She was unarmed. She was shot and killed in her home as well. This just cannot happen. This cannot happen. I really don't understand how such an egregious error is made. And as far as I know right now, nothing has happened to these. The officer who killed him is on administrative leave, but there's no reports of any charges being filed or anything like that. And I want to know where the gun is. I want to know, because there's no reporting of guns he had registered. The only reporting that he had a gun comes from an amended press release that the Kentucky State Police put out, because they're handling the investigation. Just a sad story all around, and this happens entirely too often. Too often. So we're going to keep an eye on this story for you, because there's more to it, and we need to find out exactly what happened, because we have too many law enforcement agencies making these midnight raids, and this was over a weed eater. Why would you need to? And so then the question becomes: would this have been a raid at 11 o'clock at night if the person who owned, or the person where the weed eater was stolen from, hadn't been a judge? Anyway, we're going to keep an eye on that. But before, I want to get you out of here, because I said before that we were going to talk about absent fathers. And these stories may not be related, but they are, and I'm going to show you how. There is a there's a gender confused basketball player playing on the women's college basketball team. And he is going by the name of Harriet McKenzie, a gender confused athlete, born male, put out a video saying that they quote unquote transitioned at 4. That's the parents' fault. Because, and so, well, let me back up. This gender confused basketball player is upset that teams are refusing to play against her, and when they do play, they're playing rough and playing dirty. He's claiming that he is at a biological disadvantage because the dirty play allegedly that's taking place. There is no biological disadvantage, even though this person was allowed to go on puberty blockers and all that. didn't go through a full male puberty cycle. So this person doesn't have the same physical advantage that he would have had he gone through male puberty, but he's still, when you look at him, he still has a distinct physical advantage against the women that he plays. And like I said, that is the parent's fault. This kid's father did him a huge disservice by allowing this to happen. It should never have reached this pitch. This kid should have been told from the beginning, no, you're a boy and you are going to act like a boy. We are going to raise you as a boy. We're not going to go through this charade of giving you these hormone blockers and things like that, because we know that does more harm than good. So Harriet Mackenzie's father failed her miserably. And another woman whose father failed her miserably is an adult OnlyFans star by the name of Bonnie, who claims that she just broke the world record by 1,000 men in just 12 hours. This not only is this just gross and disgusting, but it's what happened to her to make her want to do this and to be proud of it. And you may have heard about you may have heard about a woman who went into a McDonald's over in the UK and propositioned a kid, and he said no, he was saving himself for marriage. This is a woman. $1,000 men in 2 hours. This woman's father failed her too. She is humiliating herself, degrading herself, debasing herself for a little bit of money on a porn site. And now there's no video just like that one we talked about a few weeks ago, who you know what, let me get this woman off the screen. It's not worth it. A few weeks ago, who had sex with 100 guys, I think it was 100 guys, whatever it was. She broke down in tears afterwards. I don't know if I don't know what this woman's. I don't know. It's just, where are the fathers in these situations? What is going on? Guys, come on. You need to do a better job raising your daughters, man, because this does not bode well. Because what kind of man is going to have a relationship with this woman? Or any of these women that debase themselves in this way? Her quote unquote body count for 1,000 in a day on OnlyFans who knows how many thousands are in this woman's body count. Just a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs. Guys, do better. Do better. Raise your daughters to have more respect for themselves in this. Just being, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's a really good chance that this woman doesn't even know her father or have any kind of relationship with him. So not just be there for your kids, man. Don't allow this to happen. Your job is to protect them from this kind of stuff. I don't know. We need to pray for these people. Pray for these dudes that are impregnating women and just letting them go get abortions or raise the kids by themselves. And then this is the kind of result that we get. We got to do better, man. We got to do better. There are too many men failing in their mission. We got to do better. Anyway, that's all I got for you this time. I will try to do better on the next one. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this OnlyFans model. Let me know what you think about Pete Hegseth and these fires. I'd love to hear from you. But like I said, please like and subscribe and share, so that we can have that breakthrough I talked about and spread this message, the gospel of Jesus Christ, and the message of hope and liberty to as many people as we possibly can. Because we want to preserve what we have. We want to improve what we have right now and preserve it for future generations. Also, like I said, if you like the shirt I'm wearing, head over to missionreadymen.com. Shop 7 Armors and check out the 7 Armors basics and the logo tees and all the other great designs that we have over there that have a message of faith and patriotism. MissionReadyMen.com, Shop 7 Armors. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to